that the case with Keith in a game like that? You would just expect him to be out there for the workhorse minutes?
Well, I don't think you go into the game thinking about having to play 46 minutes. I think if you think of it that way, it feels like a pretty impossible mountain to climb. But you just take one shift at a time. And I think you go into those overtime intermissions, and he was the one talking in the locker room saying, you know, let's just wait these guys out. Let's just be patient. Let's just be smart. We can wear them out and find that one mistake that they're going to make, and we'll capitalize on it. So I mean, he was with it. He was. I mean, I would play another 46 minutes. I'm sure. He was willing to do whatever it took to win last night, for sure.
Jonathan, what are the biggest challenges of clinching game? Everyone says it's always the hardest one.
I think every game has gotten tougher and tougher as we've gone along in the series, and we know the longer it goes, I don't think the case is going to change at all. So tomorrow will be the toughest game, clearly, because I mean that team's got a lot of pride. They got a lot of skill and a lot of ability, and I don't think any team wants to get knocked out of the playoffs and have their season ended. So I think that's when teams really realize what's on the line and when they play their best hockey. So that's what we can expect from them.
Fred said the biggest challenge was Game 5 because you kind of know that if you don't win, you've got a Game 6 and Game 7 out there. Is that more challenging than doing 5?
Yeah, I mean, we in a way we got to think that way too. We can try and find that desperation where we can put ourselves in their position where these games are as important for us as they are for them, knowing that if we don't find ways to finish the series off, that it's going to get tougher and tougher on us, and more pressure will be on us as well. So not that we want to add any pressure, but I think we just need to have that urgency that tomorrow needs to be our best game of the series.
So that being said, how important is the start tomorrow of this game?
Oh, it's huge, especially being in their building. We know what type of effort we're going to get from them in the first 20, so it's something we have to be ready for and try and match. And kind of like what I was just saying a second ago as far as what Duncan was saying, just to play that patient game and hang in there, especially through those moments where they're flying and they're throwing everything at you. You just got to stay with it and try and lock things down, not give them too much.
Jonathan, your team historically has played better later in series. are there any indications or that the way the series is going, you're making that kind of progress?
I would hope so. I think we've gotten better and better as the series has gone along, and that's our plan, is to continue that improvement as the series goes on. So, like I said, we know those games are going to get tougher and tougher, and there's going to be less and less room for error on both sides. So. That's our plan, is to play our best game tomorrow.
Anything about Scott Darling's play surprising you guys, how consistent he's been?
I mean, yeah, in a way, when you don't know a guy that much, he hasn't been around that long, I guess in a way you have to be surprised. But, you know, you're equally happy and proud for a guy like that who's worked hard, and he wants it so bad too. I mean, you can tell he's ready to go. He wants that pressure. He wants the responsibility. When we have guys like that, whether it's him or Crow in net, whoever it is, you know, top to bottom in our lineup, you want guys that want to assume that responsibility, and he's done a great job with it. So we're definitely happy that he's thrived under that pressure.
We've seen it happen many times where Holsick carries the puck in and kind of drops it off and sets it up. What makes that so effective, and is it just creating the space for the player behind him to get the shot off?
Well, with guys like him and Sauter, they both have so much speed going down the wing that you know, if they can take a guy wide and try and make their D back in, eventually their defensemen have to respect that, and eventually maybe you can find trailers, or as you saw the last couple games, Host cutting across and dropping it for a shot through traffic. You know, there's a lot of different ways you can try and make plays off of that. So I think those two guys have been doing a good job of carrying that puck down the ice.
Jonathan, you didn't know Scott before, but he said that he has a respect for the game now that he may not have had before since he's matured. What have you seen from him? Preparation around the dressing room, the way he is, that would reflect that?
I don't know. I mean, it's you can't imagine it's an easy thing for a goaltender, especially a backup goaltender, to be called into a situation, especially a hostile environment in a visiting building, when your team goes down 3-0 and he steps up and stops 42 shots or whatever it is, whatever it was in that first game. I think that's a great example right there of how someone can, like Scott, can handle that pressure and kind of rise to the occasion. And you know, he wasn't satisfied with that performance. He stepped up since then, and you know, he's continuing to improve on his game as well.
Have you gotten to know him at all, or is he your typical kind of quirky goaltender?
Yeah, a little bit, more and more. I wouldn't take it that far. I think he's, yeah. I don't know if that trend's continuing as much, but I mean, we got two great guys, even with Antti Ranta as well. They're great guys. They fit in great with the room, and you know, obviously off the ice, he's a great guy to be around.
Jonathan, the other day, Brent Seabrook joked that he's not a goal scorer, yet he's got 2 in this series, and it seems like when it's around the playoffs, he's the guy who's getting these big overtime goals. Is there something about the offensive side of his game that shows up more in the playoffs?
I think we always laughed. I feel like he's got a lot of regular season overtime winners too. When it's 4-on-4 during the season, he just seemed to like float around at one speed, but he'd always find the right area to be in, and he'd be the Johnny on the spot, always finishing it off and scoring a big goal. And he's proven, he's been able to prove that he can do that in the playoffs as well. That I know some guys just have that feeling that when the puck lands on their stick that they're going to get lucky somehow and they're going to score a big goal for our team. And he's a guy we've looked to quite a bit for that when we're just waiting for the game to be over in a way. And you know, he's been there quite a few times to relieve us late in games like that.
Have you noticed Kane just become more comfortable with himself? Brad thought he was maybe more aggressive last game than the first 3 games going through traffic. Kane?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's done some really good things in the first handful of games, and considering the injury that he had, you know, you can understand that most guys wouldn't feel themselves right away, but you know him, he's always going to find ways to produce and to create offensively. And I mean, that's the good news. He's found ways to get on the board and to be a part of big goals for our team. And you know that there's still a lot of room for him to get even better. And I think everyone maybe expects him to be where he was at the end of that last series against LA last year, which you know, for most guys is pretty tough to do. But you know, he'll find his way to get back there.
Brad mentioned it, and Brent Seabrook mentioned it yesterday about the conditioning and the trainers. Do your trainers take on a bigger role when the series goes on like this and you have a turnaround from an overtime game? I mean, do they have a big role, or do they play any big part?
I think so, absolutely. I don't know how it came up, but I was joking with our trainer, flag trainer Jeff Thomas yesterday, that he said something like his part in the game didn't matter much before the game, and I said, don't be so hard on yourself. And after the game, for sure, I came in and talked to him, and we were joking that, you know, our trainers out-trained them last night by you know, getting us the coconut waters and the bananas and the whatever guys were eating, or trying to get into their bodies so they can try and survive and keep going and maintain some energy through, you know, almost 6 periods there. So.
Is there anything to the 7? You had 7 overtime games last year in the postseason. You've already had 2. Is it, like, what do you pick up from that? What do you learn to survive?
Well, I mean, it just kind of elaborating on the comment I made about what Duncan said. You just got to try and outlast the other team. I think it's a balance between playing conservative and not making too many mistakes, and just trying to work for that one lucky bounce. I think at that point of the night, the ice quality is not too high. You're not going to be making, you know, pretty one-touch plays to the slot, and it's going to be a lucky bounce or a shot through traffic like we saw last night, or something going off a guy's shin pad or a stick or something, and you just got to go work for it and you know, try and keep the puck in their end as much as you can. So we did that, and we were on the winning side. But I think you realize too that a game like that could go either way.
Did you see Kane actually try to lift Seabrook up in celebration?
Yeah, I didn't see what had happened, but I saw the replay, and I couldn't tell who that little guy was at his waist there, and you know, I'm sure he gave it a good effort, but I doubt he had enough energy on a good day to lift that guy. So.